Hey everyone, welcome back to the Voice of Gen Z. Hey Dinika, glad to have you here and looking forward to the next 30-40 minutes of conversation on Nutty Gritties, your brand and what you're doing for sustainability and how you are thinking about adding a layer of climate contribution through the brand that you're building and for the consumers that you are serving today. Thank you so much for your time again and very excited for this conversation.
Hi Sid, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to have this conversation as well. We've partnered and we've been chatting about sustainability since a long time, and I'm glad that we did arrive at a partnership, and I really look forward to having this conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me get started then, right? Obviously, we've known each other now for about 2.5 years, right? And one of the things that we spoke first when we met was the fact that your family has been in the dry fruit industry for over 130 odd years, right? Like that's a serious legacy that you're carrying in this industry. How did you like conceptualize like Nutty Gritties? Obviously, there was a legacy that you were carrying forward, but when did you start to think about Nutty Gritties as an independent brand, and how did it really come to being? Would love for our audience to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so while I was growing up, I would hear all conversations around dry fruits and nuts around me, hear my grandfather and my father and my uncle talk about it. And I just found out recently that ever since I was 6, I knew that I wanted to do something in the family business. And just with time and with the culmination of all the conversations and the phone calls that I would attend from all over the world, from Afghanistan or Australia or the US or Dubai, it really intrigued me. And when I would travel to these countries, I would see the consumption patterns of nuts and dry fruits very different from what was going on in India. From the retail shelves were stocked with packs of nuts that people were consuming as snacks, as trail mixes, as breakfasts, along with drinks, and it was so much more of a versatile product in consumption all over the world versus India, where we were mostly just consuming it during festivals and during winter or weddings. So I thought that that there's a huge gap that exists in just creating a variety of products that people would be interested in consuming through the day. That's where the flavors came about. That's where the trail mixes came about, where we know that the Indian palate is most favorable to great taste, right? And we have nuts and dry fruits in our blood, in our legacy, in our traditions, because we all have stories of our parents and grandparents telling us to eat it because it's healthy. What I wanted to add with Nutty Gritties is this dimension of flavor and taste, because health and taste together, go really well and create for a product that can become an integral part of people's lives. And with the legacy in the family business, we of course had a goodwill of 6 generations to live up to, and I realized that there are so many myths around the quality of the product, and there's definitely something that we as a business can do to bust those myths, to actually help people understand more about the quality of the products. I realized that there was a gap that existed in the retail market, which was also emerging in India at the time that I was in college. Before that as well, I actually did a small pilot at Iraqi Mela, where I created a few flavors in cashews, and people loved it. And there was my first validation. When I went to college, I also interned at one of the largest pistachio companies in the world, where I again saw the consumption patterns, right? And I thought that we need to bring this to India. We need to actually change the way that India consumes nuts and modernize the traditional Indian nuts. And that's how Nutty Gritties came about. So from 2009 till today, we have 3 verticals in products. One is the essentials range, which is basics. It covers your almonds, walnuts, raisins. There's trail mixes, which is in the wellness range. So we have a variety of 12, ranging from sports mix to women's health mix to mom's food mix, and of course the gourmet range, which is the flavors, where Thai chili blend is one of the favorites of people, barbecue almonds and pepper cashews. I can see that smile on your face. I think you have also
Yeah,
enjoyed
we
it.
have a lot of the Thai chili at home, so that's the reason why I was laughing. No, actually, just doubling down on that point, right? I mean, having seen the brand closely for the last 2 3 years, one of the things that stands out for me is, dry fruits as a business a couple of years ago was very, like, traditional. It was like, okay, Diwali ke time pe whatever it would end up being there as part of the festivity foods that come through, right? But more recently, what I've seen and observed that Nutty Gritties has done is, you've taken that raw tradition and now switched it up to like a fun, make it cool to sort of have these nuts, right? You talked about the essential mix, etc., right? But broadly, like, one of the things that I've noticed that Nutty Gritties has done is they've bought that element of, fun, keeping up with the times, right? Adding that, Indian flavor, Indian vibe, cool vibe, and at the same time, like, making sure that, we are keeping the ethos of health and well-being, right? Which is the broad macro trend that Indian consumers are seeing, right? And when I look at the climate industry, like, climate typically has been like very, very, again, raw, right? Like, people sort of, if you talk about climate, people would think of water, waste, etc. Very traditional, very sort of boring, right? What we are trying to do with Climes is also to add those elements of fun in the process, right? Where we are educating more and more people about climate, their carbon footprint, etc. Right? Would love to hear from you how you've gone about that sort of brand building journey. Like, how did the consumer trends shape your sort of brand guidance, etc. We would love to get some insights as well. And typically, our audience with the Gen Z podcast is also brands that are trying to bring sustainability to the forefront, right? So, would love to get your views on how you helped shape that the brand according to some of the insights that you learned.
Sure. Thanks a lot. I know one thing that has helped is that we were patient all along, and it's been almost 14 years since we've been doing this, right? And patience and long-term thinking really helps. And I see clients on that path of building one step at a time, one action at a time, and just one small change at a time, which is something that all my mentors always tell me as well. One thing that I've noticed is that, and I think about this a lot, is that if we want to create change collectively, we need one large cohort of people to come together. And one thing that we have on our side in India is the demographics, right? It's very interesting that 50% of our country is under the age of 25. I was just having a conversation at lunch with somebody whose children are 6, 8, and 10 years old, and they are talking about sustainability. He said that I was brushing my teeth and my son charged into my bathroom, and he went and he put my tap off because my water was running. And he told me that, Dad, please don't do that again. Another friend of mine, her 6-year-old daughter came back home and said, Mom, I'm not going to use plastic ever again. So it's very, very good to see that schools are inculcating these habits and these changes, and change has to start early. So it's this young generation which is going to come together and create that change. One thing that we have to do, and what we've done in our business is that whatever we do, we have to make it very relatable to the consumer, right? What we did with Nutty Gritties, we picked local favorite flavors, right? We knew that people love Thai cuisine, so we're like, okay, Thai chili blend, barbecue, sports mix. Sports mix is our bestseller, and sports is something that people relate to the most. So that relatability element has to be there whenever you're communicating with a consumer, followed by authenticity. Consumers are much smarter than we think they are, and they can see through things. There are a lot of people who do things just because sustainability is trending, so we should also get on that bandwagon, right? But then people will see through it sooner or later. And I know that you care about it because you walk the talk as well. I care about it. I've walked the talk. I saw that leading a healthy lifestyle made such a huge difference to my life and my family's life. So why not actually use Nutty Gritties and go on this mission to promote better health, because health is something, I mean, a healthy body, a healthy mind, a healthy environment, a healthy workplace, and it kind of creates that ripple effect, right? So authenticity, which has been one of our core values, honesty, which has been one of our core values, it trickles down to the consumer, and there are people coming to us and telling us that, we trust you guys. And I tell my team as well that, even when you're packing a single pack, a small batch, it has to be done with complete integrity, authenticity, and honesty. There has to be a purpose behind what you're doing. Passion, it comes across, right? So do something that you are really, really passionate about. Be patient at it, and we're lucky to have technology right now with which we can get that reach. So those have been some of my learnings through my journey. And,
No, absolutely. I think if there's one thing that really stands out about Nutty Gritties, and it's so visible, is the authenticity, right? I think the way you communicate on your social media, to the product offering, to even the minutest of details with regard to packaging, right? I think it is seen that it's seen very clearly in the brand and the product as well. So yeah, kudos to you for that. Actually, I want to get into that. Sticking to the authenticity theme, right? Like I know you're a firm believer in sustainability, and more importantly in giving back to the environment and climate, right? I just want to take a personal detour to understand a little bit about your sustainability journey and how you're sort of inculcating it to the brand that you're building as well, keeping in light the whole authenticity and the integrity point that you made a little earlier.
Yeah, so I was thinking about sustainability, and I thought that we've been in business since over 130 years, right? That is sustainability. That's business sustainability. That's what it meant to be sustainable maybe a decade back. The meaning of this word has evolved, just the way the entire world has evolved, and we have evolved as human beings. Even what our practices were, what our habits were 10 years, even 5 years, or maybe 3 years back, right? Pre-COVID. What we cared about earlier, we don't care about, we care about so many more things now. So this entire ecosystem has evolved, and as an entrepreneur, as a business person, the meaning of sustainable business for me now also encompasses the environment, the ecosystem that I live in, including all the stakeholders that are involved. So since we have been pioneers in our field, in the packaged nuts business, in trail mixes, in nuts, and keeping that spirit of pioneership on, I thought that we should really drive sustainability as well in our business, right? And there are so many ways of doing this. It is something that I genuinely care about, as I mentioned, and I touched upon the health aspect, and using health in our brand and our product. The product is already so good, right? So one of the things, which is one of the SDGs, is good health and well-being. In lieu with that, we have actually created a lot of products, as I mentioned, 12 trail mixes around health, from women's health mix to omega-3 to diabetes. We also have a zero waste policy, and every week we are tracking our wastage, which is almost next to nothing. Our team is constantly going on tree plantation drives. So along with that, we have seminars of education for them as well. We're constantly educating them. We are constantly speaking to our stakeholders when it comes to packaging or and our raw material suppliers. In fact, we're having conversations with farmers on how they are making their practices more sustainable, and we're making a genuine effort to source from people who have more sustainable practices. One more sustainability goal is women empowerment, right? And that's again something very close to me, because when I got into business, I didn't get into business as a woman entrepreneur. For me, I was just an entrepreneur with a business idea that had got validation and that I was passionate about. So I feel like women need to believe in themselves much more, and we provide opportunities to women and men, of course. But women I feel like I can be a source of inspiration to so many women around, and not only within my team, where we have actually encouraged women who used to just be in our workforce doing packaging to be supervisors, and today we have some assistant managers and managers who had joined the company as just workers, right? And we have made sure that at least 50% of our workforce is female. So there are small things that we keep doing towards that.
Dinika,
Decent
I
work
actually
in
have
India.
a follow-up question for that, right? You're doing such phenomenal things to holistically bring about sustainability in your business, etc. Right? You touched upon very many social issues alongside the environmental issues, right? One of the things that I want to know is how are you communicating that to your end users, to your consumers, right? And follow-up question to that is, do consumers really care about this, right? Because um, I'll tell you why, right? When I started up in the climate space, right, a lot of people said, "Arey, India mein consumer doesn't really care about it," right? So obviously, I know you're very first principles in terms of business. You're very brand profit minded, right? So I'm assuming that you haven't thought about all of this, or you're doing this one for the environment, for sustainability, etc. But there has to be something that you have done to communicate this to your consumers to get some sort of a premium or brand buy-in or something of that sort, right? I would love to hear from you. How you're communicating this, and is there some brand premium that you have claimed by doing all of this? And yeah, I would love to hear your thought process on that.
The first and natural answer that comes to my mind is that I'm doing this for the business, and because I really, really believe in this, and I believe there is merit in giving back to society. That's how you will grow, right? The nature of nature is growth, and this is something I was talking about earlier as well. And you just have to keep on nurturing what you have. So, in terms of people, that aspect, I just believe in nurturing our team, nurturing our people, our entire ecosystem, right? The area that we live in. It would be so much better to live in a greener environment as opposed to something that's burning and dying, right? So there is a slight selfish motive as well, because of course I want to create a better environment for myself, and then it has that trickle down effect across the people who I work with, who I interact with, who I talk to. And I believe in the philosophy of every single drop in the ocean counts, right? And it all adds up. So while that's the philosophy, we communicate it through our digital channels. We communicate it through social media, we communicate it through our website, our packaging has it as well. So we are currently also supporting an NGO called Spread a Smile India that actually empowers and educates children who used to be previously begging on the streets, and now they're giving them education, they're sending them to mainstream schools, and then they're helping them get jobs. So we do have 3 people who are employed in our company who 8 years back were begging on the streets and didn't have a life mission. Today they're actually the Shah Rukh Khan of their entire basti and their society, because they have a real job. They don't do any, they have no bad habits of drinking or drugs or stealing, but rather they go to work, they wake up and they go to work in the morning, and they go back home to their children, and they're proud that they have a job. And I actually met the children of one such person. His name is Jamshed, and I met his children who are in Spread a Smile right now. Jamshed used to be part of Spread a Smile as well, and it was a room full of about 50-60 kids, and those 3 kids said that हमारे पापा उनकी फैक्ट्री में काम करते हैं. And that was a moment of pride for them, and just that brought me so much joy. And that's all that matters, because once you raise your vibrations, once you create joy for yourself and for your immediate environment, that trickles down. And I'm sure some way or the other our consumers do get that message, and that energy does translate in our packs as well, right? So maybe we don't communicate it enough, and I realize that before this podcast when we were chatting, and we need to communicate it more often because it's always good to just talk about positive things and good news rather than there's so much negative stuff happening all around us. I think these positive stories of success and of joy make so much difference to people's lives. And in terms of brand premium, I think our brand premium comes from the quality that we pack and the quality that we use, right? We have almost 15 quality checks that we have before it gets out of our factory. So I think we want to let that premium be driven through the quality and keep sustainability as a separate aspect altogether, which comes from our principle and our values of joy and wanting to give back to society.
Got it. And do Indian consumers care for that? You think?
Yeah, I think people are really evolving, right? If a 6-year-old kid can go to the bathroom and tell his dad that dad switch off that tap, I'm sure that when the 6-year-old is more aware about packaging. A 6-year-old girl went and told her mom that, Mom, I don't want to buy plastic. So the consumers will care, and we have to do things with a very long-term mindset, right? Maybe the consumers, not enough people care about it today, but I am definitely sure that this 50% of India, which is under 25, does care about it. They do care about it, right?
Yeah, we internally call them the Generation C, right? Generation Climate, plus obviously the whole effect that Greta Thunberg has had on the younger generation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, another thing that this person mentioned is that these kids are saying this, which Greta Thunberg is saying as well, that the older generations have created this environment and left this world for us, and we're going to have to bear the brunt of it. That's how this generation feels. And now they are making the older generations responsible and they're accountable and they're asking them questions. Children are asking their parents questions. So sooner or later, these parents will have to wake up and make that difference, right? And consumers will be willing to pay for that change as well because they want a better tomorrow for their children.
No, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I'd have a last question for you, which is, I know we've been talking a lot about potentially partnering together, and what made it work for you in terms of partnering with Climes, and what excites you the most?
I believe in collaborations and moving forward and building anything based on collaboration. And I think when you told me about Climes first 2 years back, I was very excited, and ever since then I think I kept chasing you and kept telling you that we must do something, and we've been talking about packaging and what are the alternatives to packaging, and it's something that you are passionate about and it clearly comes across. It's something that I'm passionate about as well, and I think when two people are passionate and can collaborate on something that has a positive effect on the environment, on their ecosystem, then why not, right? And I was looking forward from the get-go to this collaboration in any way because I knew that the outcome was going to be positive, right? And sometimes you don't have to think of measuring it immediately. You just have to take that first step, and the results automatically follow. So in that spirit of collaboration, I was always looking forward to partnering with Climes, and I think it's just the start, it's just the tip of the iceberg. With God's grace, you guys
Absolutely.
are going to do great work and maybe teach us a thing or two on what we can do better as well, and teach the entire ecosystem as well, raise more awareness on climate change, raise more awareness on all sustainable practices as well, and we can create a better world.
Absolutely. No, I think I'm glad we got started. Hopefully we can get Nutty Gritties to be carbon neutral in the next couple of years. That's our goal as well. So thank you so
100%.
much for partnering with us. And we'll try and, I think you guys have already set the benchmark in terms of how a brand should walk the talk on different social and environmental issues. So hopefully we can help you sort of extend in that journey. And thanks again for your time and sharing your honest views on how you built the brand and what sustainability means to you and the brand itself. I'm sure our audience is going to enjoy hearing your journey, and I'm definitely inspired by all that you have done at Nutty Gritties, and looking forward to see the brand grow. And thanks again.
Thank you so much, Sid. Thanks a lot for the kind words, and I'm really inspired by what you and your team is doing at Climes as well. And I really want you guys to grow a lot and create a better tomorrow.
Thank you so much.